And maybe you can share the links so I can drop it immediately. Drop it, or maybe you can do.
Hello, happy coffee.
Happy coffee, brother. Brother, cheers.
I'll send you the link right now.
Please.
What a crazy day yesterday, hey?
Oh wow, I'm so curious. What happened with you, man? You were yesterday on steroids. Man, whatever you were channeling there, it was beautiful.
um, it was just being able to connect everything. I was able to see it all, and
Mm,
um, I really realized how important, because what we had some pretty profound meetings about the grid in Alberta, and then when I was able to have the conversation about nuclear and the importance of nuclear power and the power plants, and how it creates a lot less um, carbon emission. Um, because you see, the whole thing about the carbon tax credits and the carbon credits are to pay the government, because to create a more sustainable fuel. But what they're really doing is just manipulating a monetary system once again.
hmm,
And the nuclear doesn't have um, nuclear power plants. They don't have the same type of emission. In fact, there's next to nothing. It's just water, like steam that comes out. But because of the fear that's been created for such a long period of time around nuclear, because
mm,
of the egocentric philosophy and the miscommunication based off of ego and the usage of it for weapons of mass destruction, there's been a fear associated with nuclear power plants.
yeah,
And so the media has discouraged that level of change. So, I was like, oh, it'd be great to actually get to Chris, or talk to with Chris Kiefer from the president. He's the president of Canadians Nuclear Association or something like this. I forget the exact name. Um, because it not only creates really clean electricity, it can really change the lifestyle, help our environment, and then the waste that comes from radioactive material, as you saw in our group, we can then use it to integrate. We can use it to integrate jet fuel, and create fuel for planes, and it could be distilled. So there's a lot of opportunity here for people that are willing to, take that step and move that needle forward. But it's interesting how in the past we've just been so focused on corruption and in all areas of uh, like what they call FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, that it's been just passed on for such a long period of time, and people don't even necessarily know it. And to me, this is a fascinating concept, because that's really it's something that has been passed on for way too long, bro. And this FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, um it's enough. It's kind of tiring and boring.
exactly, exactly. And that's it's built on trust. Like the government was like, yeah, trust us. And now even with the grid, like people are dependent on one streamer. So it's a very centralized energy distribution as well. And that's what makes it dangerous. That's what makes it possibility to control. That's what makes it tool to manipulate and put people in fear and uncertainty and doubt. This is a perfect. So the yeah, it's everything is energy. If the source of our energy we consume comes through layers and layers of all kind of noise, then of course everyone is affected. That's why we need sound energy, which is decentralized, and we know that we own the power machines, because we don't, it's just doesn't make any kind of reason to ask for permission because it's my life, it's my family's life. So just building around the world decentralized power plants, and what you're saying, like using the power that we can use it in multiple ways. Yeah, in multiple ways.
Yeah, man. And I have to say that, it's so important that, like, again, yesterday I just realized how everything, it really comes together so beautifully. And it wasn't even up to me. I was just able to put some of the dots together and
Yeah.
allow myself to, and I could, and what the beautiful thing is to be able to share it in a way that is very grounded. um it's for me is like, it feels refreshing,
Yeah,
because
definitely.
it's not coming, like, it's not confusing. It's
Yeah. Yeah,
not.
and that's what gives certainty instead of uncertainty. That's what eliminates fear, because it's just like clarity.
Yeah, so clear. I'm so clear. And
And there is no doubt for not making to another month.
well, now
It's
too, it's I think that this is the greatest part, is the next responsibility is really bringing in the right partners, uh, from investor relations, to really then build up the grid, whether it's the capital expenditure, the operating expenses, to really then integrate the right necessary components. Because, like, the grid, to just have the infrastructure here in Alberta, I was talking to the guys, you know, yeah, we can set up just a miner on one site or one project. The projects are available right now in the next, 15 days. And after that, there's going to be a huge pipeline that's going to be available to us, that's going to move from north of Canada, northern Alberta, all the way down to southern United States, and then one from eastern Canada to western Canada, or sorry, from western Canada to eastern Canada. And so that basically can power up a whole grid throughout North America. But that means that we need to have the right capital expenditure. We need to have the right people. We need to integrate the right systems,
Yeah.
because then we can also connect that to the nuclear power plants on the East Coast, which need to be in operation, but they're not yet because of the environmental FUD and uncertainty, that or miscommunication and disconnection that has been happening for such a long period of time because of fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And so, again, it's really about just having the right conversations with the right people, that are seeing this as a responsible role rather than a space of this discouragement or disempowerment, and are willing to step up to the plate with a space of absolute, like, okay, let's do this. This is not about us. This is about the next generation.
Exactly.
So, like, Henry Ford himself, he talked about how profound it would be to have a monetary system that's backed by integrity
Energy.
and trust. In the 1920s, during just before the Great Depression, and say what you will about him, when it comes to his ethics and principles based off of people, but what he illuminated was a space of savviness, business acumen. Okay. And so that was really integral. Same with Andrew Carnegie. And although they were total different type of men, they had a space of business savviness that allowed them to create, transformation in society. And so I believe that we have to integrate some of those philosophies in a different way, of course, because there's a lot of things that I don't agree with that what Henry Ford did back then or Andrew Carnegie did back then. However, they did the best they could with the knowledge they had, and I think we can find gold everywhere we want to if we see it, if that makes sense.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting how you feel pulled strongly towards that, responsibility. Like going to the roots of the problem. And so like it's beyond inflation kind of feels. And it's in yes and, but it's beyond.
Well, yeah, because um, at our core, right, it's we have to get more curious. At least I knew I needed to when I was growing up, uh, and ask more profound questions, to myself. So if I kept asking myself, who am I? What's my reason for living? What's my purpose? Why do I live here? Why do I even exist? And that was kind of my primary question for such a long period of time. Then that question continues to be the one that drives me in areas where things may create uncertainty. And so I think that it's about, always, if more of us did this, right, and we more got curious about who we are at an integral level, and we took that responsibility, then maybe even more of us could strengthen each other, right? I wrote a post the other day, and I said something about, I'm not interested in anybody that is like, I'm only interested to be around people that want to build. I don't want to even talk
Yeah.
about people that are
Yeah.
destroying, or it's a waste of time and energy.
Uh-huh. I want to ask you, brother, maybe you can unpack even more of your inner journey of discovering that responsibility, why and how it is appearing in your life.
Um,
Your process, your reality, how everything is unfolding.
uh, what do you mind going deeper into that question? What do you mean specifically?
Like, I mean, stepping into this responsibility, what you're talking about, gritting the world back and reclaiming literally the sovereignty and responsibility for our own lives. And what I see you stepping in the level of, it's not about me anymore. There's my family, there's my country, There is the whole world that is needs to be onboarded on this. So like I feel you know like and we are stepping in that kind of mission.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think everybody has a responsibility, and you know, it's like I always say, if it's not now, then when? You know, like I can die tomorrow. I can get hit by a car. I can whatever. And so my life for the past 7 years, as you know, has been peaks and valleys. You know, it's been
Yeah.
facing a lot of uncertainty. It's been putting myself in environments that, you know, can help me understand myself. But I found a pattern, and the common pattern was me. So the common pattern, and I mean that common, and I mean that in a way where I was able to figure things out. I was able to
Yeah.
be creative enough to find a solution all the time. Um, and I would take that responsibility. So instead of me trying to project any blame on any of the circumstances or people around me, I would say, what can I do better? How can I make sure that I'm
Yeah.
taking more responsibility of the situation versus projecting anything onto the outside world or people? Because I would get curious and say, okay, maybe they're doing the best they can with the knowledge they have, and I know that I was. So by a mirror perspective and discovering that's part of myself, um, I got really focused on, okay, well, if the highest form of love is compassion, and I can devote myself to compassion and compassionate leadership, then that means that I have to do that for myself first. And so I kept doing that with like consistency, and the bigger kind of the community, or the bigger the leader, or the bigger the problem, the bigger the solution needed to be within me. And so I kept looking back inside to seeing, what do I need to do, and how deeper do I need to go? And when I discovered at the deepest core my essence, I um I realized that it's all of our essence, it's all of our perspective, it's all of our understanding. We're just mirrors of each other. And so what I said is, okay, if this is mirroring back at me in my 3D reality, then
Mm.
that means that I have to create something within me that needs to shift. It's not
Mm.
outside of me that needs to shift. It's something within me that needs to shift. And if I don't
Mm.
take that space of responsible role of creating even more certainty, then as a result, it won't change outside of me. And so
So cool.
it gave me a level headedness, a groundedness of perspective, to give me um, creativity, to give me, how do I need to, what do I need to call in from a place of heart's wisdom? Because then I realized that I'm co-creating with something even more greater than myself.
Mm.
And this great, you know, part of ourselves has to be illuminated by a trust, a formless into the form. And as you know, and many other people know, that we have to resonate out of the space of vibration. It can't be from a place of force. It has to be from a true place of power.
Mm.
And when I realized that and I kept looking for the vehicle, by the way. Like, I was like, fuck, like, I was trying to figure out the vehicle, trying to build the vehicle, trying to fucking, you know, instrument the vehicle,
Manifest. Yeah, well,
manifest the
manifested in
vehicle.
the end. Manifested in the end.
And yeah, and when I got invited to Portugal by you, which, by the way, thank you. And I didn't have the capacity, nor the funding, nor the ability, and you took care of that. You helped me, because I've been investing into this mission for the last 7 years without any outside support.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've been investing into this for a very long time, into finding, what is it that we need to do as a collective. And it gave me, whether it was education, whether it was experiences, whether it was so I was in Australia, and I was at this place where I was like, whatever you need, I'm here. Like, and then you're like, hey Eric, do you want to come to Portugal, bro? I was like, sure. And that gave me curiosity, as always does, because we've built a really profound relationship, and like I said, there's like a lot of trust. And when you trust yourself, it's easy to trust others, because if you know yourself, it's easy to know others, right? There's this beautiful saying by Ralph Waldo Emerson: know thyself, trust thyself. And it's not just him that has said it, it's a lot of prophets before that, but we'll go from there. um, it's interesting because people are like, oh, I need to work on that space of trust. But if you really trust yourself, it's easy to get into any relationship, any certain area, any environment, any space. You just need to, you don't even need to trust. You just need to like verify, which is, interestingly enough, one of the fundamentals of the Bitcoin community. Because when you trust yourself, all you need to do is just verify from your feeling, from your understanding, from your awareness. And then as a result, you can start to get more curious, right? But that was what I did. Is like, you came and you brought me to that place, and then I started to you didn't ask me to do anything. I just did it on my own because I trusted
Yeah.
myself, right? I trusted myself. I trusted from this place of divine intelligence. And you know Napoleon Hill talks about the divine economy, right? This is something that isn't just Napoleon Hill's, but he talked it in his book Law of Success about, give more than you ever expect to receive, which also my great, one of my fundamental teachers, Tony Robbins, always talks about that, right? Give more than you ever expect to receive. And these is one of the fundamentals of what I found in the Bitcoin community, is value for value. But even going deeper than that, if we want to talk about Christ consciousness, for example, if we look back at some of the fundamentals of the Bible, right, and whether you believe in that story or not, it doesn't matter. But the fundamental essence of his anger in the house of that temple, where he got really angry and was saying, enough of this sacking of my home, or the home, or the space, or of sacredness, of creating exchange or means based off of lies and imitation and illusion of monetary components or systems, and started flipping, tables over, and getting upset. And this was a man of love, of intention, of creation. And it created a lot of contrast during that time. And again, it doesn't matter if you believe in that or not, it's the story that matters. And so the essence of that is that there is, when that story has been communicated, it's not about the temple just in that space. It's not about the temple of a building. What's being illuminated there is the temple of our planet, right? Like, the golden mean, the golden ratio within our bodies is the temple within ourselves, right? And that temple within ourselves, when we go inside, we start to realize that the real temple is planet Earth. The real playground is planet Earth. And so what was being really communicated there is there's an essence of disingenuous and disempowering means that has been manipulating our system for thousands of years, even during the time of Jesus. Again, if you believe it or not, it doesn't matter. It's the story behind it that really makes the difference. And the fundamental understanding of that is that because of that manipulation, that's where the contrast came out. That's where the disempowering of people had been created, because what the value or the wealth that had been manipulated was based off of material versus what the true nature of our wealth is, which is each person. And this has been happening for far too long. And what I realized is that I've been driving from that level of wealth from inside of us, and I didn't know how to find a vehicle. And what I found, man, was the vehicle, and that's really what has been created by another great brother, teacher, group of teachers, community, um, through Bitcoin. And Bitcoin doesn't need to be, again, it's not about the Bitcoin, it's about what it stands for, right? It
So
stands.
in one video, I want to jump in here a bit, sorry, but
Please, sorry.
it's very beautifully how it's said, Bitcoin pretty much is not the first time as a system of measuring wealth through cryptographics. So we had this is nothing new. We already did that before. And we always have the language of communication. We had the language of communication in integrity. So it used the circles of integrity people and peer networks is nothing new. It always has been here.
I agree.
And this time is Bitcoin, and it's orange. So
Right. Well,
like we always it seems like it doesn't matter, we are all time travelers and we meet again and again, and we always recreate the same thing, and we call it different name, but this time is Bitcoin. I like this.
so what I think is fascinating and I think is really profound is, like you said, it's been the divine economy, like Napoleon Hill talked about it, right? Like back in the day.
Yeah.
Before that, a lot of other great teachers. So it's been around. This is the divine economy. But the thing
Yeah.
is that it hasn't been so accessible because um, it was based off of a different level of thinking. Now it's coming
Oh.
accessible to more of
Oh.
us, and it's fascinating because if you look at the levels of consciousness, right? Uh, and if you look at Dr. David Hawkins, right? He has
I'm
this
not sure
book.
if I
It's
know.
called Power versus Force, and this he goes up the levels of consciousness, and he has different colors in the levels of consciousness.
I think I know that.
And in level 5 is the orange level of consciousness. Okay, so it goes from levels 1 to 8, and in level 5 is level of consciousness, and level 5 consciousness is orange. So what I love about level 5 consciousness is that it's very much striver, driver, achiever. So it's really focused around helping people understand that, they could achieve, they could strive, they could drive. And I know that from the feeling of orange, right? The level 5 consciousness of striver, driver, achiever, because the divine economy has naturally, for generations, has come from a level 8 space of consciousness of like awakened souls that needed to really bring it down to the striver, driver, achiever. So what it did is it created a high level of intelligence, and people were able to funnel it down, like Satoshi and other great teachers that have come before us that have built this. They've been able to funnel it down into a level 5 state of consciousness,
Yeah.
for helping the people that are striver, driver, achievers that may
Wow.
not be illuminating yet into the space of level 8 consciousness, which is fine. But what it does is it creates a vehicle for people that are in the
Contagious.
level. What?
It's contagious. it will impact, doesn't matter. Like, so the orange color will, it's a frequency, it's a vibration, it's a consciousness. So it doesn't matter. So what I hear you saying, it brought back to the fifth level of consciousness, where it doesn't matter. You're gonna be tuned into it sooner or later. So the whole consciousness of the collective is shifting. Is shifting. The orange is moving. Is that what you're saying?
Right, because level 5 consciousness naturally is about achievement. Level 5 consciousness is about
Interesting.
thriving.
Mm-hmm.
Level 5
Right.
consciousness is about making things happen. So what it does, it actually meets people where most people are at level 5 level consciousness, and then it brings them up to the next layers, 6, which is socially
Mm-hmm.
conscious, 7, which is integrated, and then 8, which is awakened souls. So it actually, what it does is the level 5 consciousness as a striver, driver, achiever, it helps people not just get to that place of level 5 of striver, driver, achiever. I can make things happen, I can create, I can achieve, I can be successful, I can do all of that, which is something that has been historically driving us for such a long
Mm-hmm.
period of time, because achievement, 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 right? But then by giving them what they need, or giving them what they want, sorry, giving people what they want, it then allows people to understand and integrate,
Yeah.
wow, like I get to be sovereign now, right? If they do the work, if they get curious about it, right? Like they don't have to,
Yeah.
of course. Here is like, but if they get curious about it, then by understanding the monetary system, the economic, nuances, the energy, the corruption, the manipulation from because level 4 consciousness is what that is. It's all about authoritarian and things like this. So they have to let go of those belief systems to really step into level
Mm-hmm.
5 to then drive and move forward, which is the orange pill, which is Bitcoin, which is the
Mm-hmm.
community. And then from that place, they are able to go up to level 6, which is socially conscious, level 7, which is even more integrated, and then level 8, which is their awakened soul, their full sovereignty. They're moving forward with absolute certainty, knowing that they're fully embodied and get to integrate. And so
Mm-hmm.
I believe, there's a reason that it's orange. I believe that there's a reason that all of that happens, because from my perspective, everything is is communication, whether it's colors, whether it's symbols, and you know how much I pay attention to all of these things. So
Yeah.
um I'm not I'm as much as I read and things like this, I also can see a lot in pictures, in
Mm-hmm.
symbols, in facial
Mm-hmm.
expressions. And so I'm always listening and I'm always paying attention. And I'm just, that's been, if nobody is going to take responsibility, or at least, sorry, that's not what I meant. If people, if people are not going to say, or if most people are not going to say, okay, this is something that I know now and I'm going to do something about it, my choice is to say, because like when you have to do it. That's out of integrity. If you know
Yeah.
and you don't do, you're full of shit.
Suffering.
If you
Suffering.
know, huh?
It causes suffering from within.
But even more importantly, it's out of integrity, right? It's
Yeah.
like it's if I'm truly here and I believe, and I am not walking the path, but I know the path, but I'm not walking it,
Yeah.
then who the fuck am I? And why do I even get to say anything? I should just keep my mouth
Exactly.
shut and pretend like, I don't exist. And so my choice personally is, if I'm going to own it and I'm going to really believe in it, then that means that I must walk it. And that means that putting things together, finding out the solution, getting curious, recognizing,
Mm.
okay, let's put this together and make this happen. And how do we do this? And asking the right questions. And it doesn't mean that any of us know anything. In fact, I realize I don't know fuck all, but the point is that I'm
Mm.
willing to ask the right questions. And if it's not gonna be me, somebody else will do it. And if
Yeah.
if if if, if it's not gonna be now, then who when? Like
Yeah.
um and plus there's so many other people doing their part as well in this, right? So it's not just me, it's so many other people that are coming together, right? It's just willing to um it's willing to do it as a team, right? Because at the end of the day, that's evolutionary psychology, that's teal organizational, that is a billion years of fundamental understanding, because
Mm,
we're billions of years old in our
mm,
inherent nature. But people think that they're just from this lifetime, people think that they're just from even a few lifetimes. What the truth is,
mm,
though, is that our essence, our in internal creation, comes from something so much more profound than just this body, this face, this.
yeah.
It comes from something so much more. And if we do the homework on ourselves, if we do the work, if we get more curious and we truly believe in it, then there is no other choice. If you value the highest level of outstanding principles and levels of ethics and understanding, you will walk the path, and you will walk it recognizing that every person on this planet is a mirror of who you are, because that is the level of integrity from billions of years old, because that's what we come from.
Mm. Brother, oh, what's interesting, what I want to bring on to the same, to add, that I recognized when I was spending a lot of time in Sri Lanka. I recognized, that Buddhist monks wearing orange sarongs on the body, and they reminds me plebs, the humbleness, because Buddhist monks already lives in a total abundance. And I feel that somehow, like, that's what Bitcoin brings, is that total abundance of for the whole humanity. Yeah, so interesting how you connected with consciousness. Thank you. So fun. Wow, what a rant, man. I feel like after a shower of light washed through the sound. That was sound, like ring a bell. One long ding. So cool. Oh. So so what do we do with all this now?
So I think that the most important part that we do is we continue to build. Um, I have a podcast with an amazing man right after this, who has
Mhm.
been a pleb for a very, very long time, Da Vinci Jeremy,
Cool.
who has been around in the Bitcoin world since 2011 and told everybody to buy Bitcoin when it was $1.
Mhm.
And that education is so important, right? But then also, how are we integrating that into our businesses? So it's like, there's one thing, like, especially learning about Bitcoin mining and the integration of business development. Business development has been probably part of my biggest core development as an individual. I went to university for commerce, finance, accounting.
Mhm.
But what I really loved was building the systems, meaning putting people together, because we all have a different system. Like if you look at Andrew Carnegie, or if you look at Napoleon Hill, or if you look at um, Henry Ford, right? Like these are all minds that put things together, right? Again, don't worry about their ethics right now. Just think about the things that are possible, because there's going to be a lot of people that don't agree with like the way that, especially Henry Ford, had definitely shown up in his stage, especially once you study him. But he accomplished, right? He integrated a system from his mind into especially during the Industrial Revolution. And so how do we now, knowing that we're interconnected, recognize that, okay, there's a system here that's being developed from a divine source of intelligence, and we need to put each other together to really integrate that system, and it becomes the system where we all have our roles and our responsibilities of implementing that system. And so, whether it's events, whether it's, payment systems, whether it's, how are we building the organism inside of organizations, because then we're allowing that space of sovereignty, or people to level up in their levels of consciousness within organizational culture. So if I'm a CEO and I really want what's best for my team and my family, or my organization and the employees, then I'm willing to open the box of possibility for them. If I'm really in my own space of integrity, I'm willing to really be in that place of abundance where I want everybody inside of my organization to really have this knowledge, this awareness, this capacity. Even if they're not ready, at least giving them a bite size of what is ready, right? And so how do we start to bring more CEOs together? So, I told you we have this Friday, we have the first ever youth leadership call, right? So we have youth leaders coming on, which I'm really excited. We're building a youth leadership festival in Portland, Oregon. Which will be a lot of fun, because we'll be able to not only educate and support them, but also then empowering the youth and the leaders to start thinking in that level of capacity as well. And then the existing CEOs, we have events happening all over the world, right? So whether there's the film festival in Poland, we have in Prague, the BTC Prague, we also have in Ibiza.
I'm going to screen movie in Lithuania, at least one movie. I don't know about the second yet.
There you go.
In the summer.
So there's so many things that are happening, right? And so and you're also doing the Pink Fest, so how do we continue to come together to manifest even more intelligence? But then it's not about just talking about it anymore. Like, we're building it. And so, because if we're just talking and not doing, then we're full of shit.
No, so this is what I'm bringing to the table, both like everywhere I go, right? Pretty much. But I want to talk about Pink Fest, since you mentioned, and I'm still in the thought process of how to bring that to the table. But since the Pink Fest is voluntarily and contribution based, and there's no tickets and such thing, which I think is fundamental for community. People who were started the Pink Fest, they open doors for a bigger family, and I'm coming in now, and I'm bringing Bitcoiners as well, other plebs. And I'm thinking how for us to walk the talk, and how to share and open doors for hosts, for at least, like, we don't have to go and preach everyone, but I'm thinking how can we walk the talk. So I'm thinking about start opening the wallet for Pink Fest, for Pink family, and then inviting plebs to contribute. And I'm going to share images and stories, for example, on Noster, and I'm going to raise funds on Geezer or other for people who wants to contribute money for building the rocket, for example, or getting a hot water here. Doesn't matter, how we're gonna use money, but it's like we creating this beautiful magical event, and Bitcoin is a part of it. It's in me already. I don't have to do anything about it. It's already vibing. So I'm curious to implement these kind of very basic ways of sharing, and first opening doors to share wealth, to contribute. If somebody feels that this project, it resonates, maybe somebody doesn't even need to come here. But if for me, like the way I'm sitting on Nostr these days and I'm zapping everyone, I just like, wow, that's inspiring, I'm zapping, that's inspiring, I'm zapping. I'm feeding the animal I want to see more in my life, and that is inspiring me, or I learned something. So how to add value first to community, and then how to bridge the communities. The same in Sri Lanka yesterday in a call. It was our first call. I immediately brought Bitcoin. I immediately grounded the foundation. Terms of the game. So it's also like very, very easy to choose. Yeah. It's interesting way of being, because marketing is not working here anymore. It's not about marketing. I mean, I don't need marketing. I don't need to market, for example, things like events like this. It's just like, what do we need?
What do you need?
What do I need?
Yeah.
I have everything, bro. I have no idea if something is missing right now in my life.
But why do you
And
put
even, even for the missions, even for example, I'm gonna pick the King's Bull as one of the missions of the projects that I see I'm a part of. And even there, I don't feel there is still any kind of need. Everything is still unfolding and packaging itself, and figuring it out. What is this? What are we doing? Where are we going? What is our steps? So even there, I don't feel that there is a need already. I think the need will be when we're gonna start building something, like hands-on or whatever way, like, and then the need will show up. But at the moment, yeah. I like, what is my need? I think, yeah, right, spot on. This call is definitely became my my daily looking forward. Let's do it now. Let's start it earlier. Let's do it again. Play fun, meaningful conversations, hanging out with people, like-minded people, and being a part, of it the way I can right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of good
So,
things.
yeah.
Exciting times ahead.
Hey,
And go ahead.
sorry.
Go ahead.
I wanted to ask you for Da Vinci. Could
Yeah.
you ask him a question?
Yeah, of course.
What was his aha moment in discovering Bitcoin? What was his genesis story?
Mm.
I would be curious, because it's a 2011. Now Bitcoin is much bigger and safer thing to choose. But he must be chose completely out of way deeper integrity, and like ability to see in 2011 Bitcoin and choose it, it has to be Da Vinci, kind of. Of course.
That's why he's Da
Yeah.
Vinci. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's good. Yeah. And you know it's funny. Like when him and I talked a couple years ago when I was in Dubai, uh and it's funny, like our mutual friend Mende, he just messaged me right now from Dubai. But like when we connected, it was cool because it was just like it was so easy and in flow.
Mm,
And when I reached out to Da Vinci, I was like, "Hey, bro, do you want to jump on the show on the podcast?" He's like, "Of course." It was like a
yeah.
moment. Of course. Just like right now, like Mende, like I just reached out and he's like, "Oh, hey, what's up? How are you?" You know,
Yeah.
like this is the family.
Yeah.
Just here to
Yeah. Yeah.
support
Yeah.
each other, being healthy and taking care of each other. And when there's a place of integrity in building, we're just building together.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm very excited to be and experience it. Brother, I feel like wrapping up somehow. I don't know
Cool. Yeah,
about you.
I got to get ready for the next meeting, so it's perfect.
Much love. Talk
Appreciate
to
you
you
so much.
tomorrow. Office hours, since you haven't updated on the Google Maps our time meeting, so that's why we started earlier today, I guess.
Yeah,
I was impatient.
tomorrow I'm gonna need to do earlier as well. So
All right,
because
perfect.
yeah,
I have less to wait.
yeah, because we're meeting with some rocket scientists tomorrow as well.
Perfect. Much love.
Okay, brother, love you. Ciao.